All right, everybody, welcome back. This is the fourth of our four-part series. I am Leanna Martens, your Edmonton real estate expert, and I have the one and only Jackie Woodward, the mortgage girl, who has 40 years experience in this market. So who else are you going to listen to? Today, we're going to talk about how you compete and win in a hot real estate market. So, Jackie, because it's not always about paying more. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. So let's give you some wisdom and some insight from our experts. So Jackie, what do you think gives buyers a real edge when they are competing for a house?
Well, they want to be pre-approved and they want to have a solid pre-approval. And important to be pre-approved for the highest amount that you can buy for. So you know if you do have to pay a list, that you have the wherewithal to qualify for that much. Now, one of the things about competing offers is I have found that a lot of people don't understand what's involved when you have to pay over list. So if you find a home and let's just say that the list price is $400 and due to multiple offers, you're having to offer $420, but you have just 5% down. So if the value of that home is $400, I should say the market value is $400, the lender will require 5% down of that $400,000, which is $20,000. And if they're paying $20,000 over list, they have to pay that other $20,000 from their own pocket.
Yes, it won't get financed because they've maxed their purchase price that the lender will give them based on
market value is, what the market value is. Exactly. So really it's education with your experts, your expert mortgage broker, your expert realtor. So you know what's involved when you're offering over list and you're getting into that kind of market.
So I would say what gives them the edge when they're in multiple offers is they have to get a solid pre-approval with an expert that pulls their credit.
Yeah.
Next, I think that expert's going to know the kind of market that they're moving into. And ideally, the real estate agent really has a sense of exactly the market that you're walking into so they can set you up for success. So if Jackie's pre-approved you for 400, the smartest bet would be for us to shop at 380 because we already know we're 390 or have the conversation right from the beginning of if this is over list, what margin do you have? Do you have extra cash, right? If you don't have extra cash, then we need to shop where you're actually, where you're most likely going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Or you and I had a conversation previously is that if you are looking in a price range that is moving fast and there are multiple offers and you're losing out on a couple of properties here and there, do an improvement plus mortgage. So talk to your realtor and talk to me as to what that product is. But if you do find a house that maybe is priced a little lower because it needs some upgrading, you upgrade it, make it your own, and add it into the mortgage.
Okay, so we'll give people a little bit of insight because a first-time home buyer is not going to know what the heck that is, right?
Right.
So let's say that, when you're working with me, Jackie's got you pre-approved, you come back to me, and we are looking in your price point of $400,000, and they're moving like this. They're like hotcakes. We've already lost 3 of the offers that we put in, right? Because the houses just go, 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 go. We've been outbid. Okay, then that's when you're like, okay, well, you start to get creative as how do we get you what it is that you want? And what Jackie's saying, the purchase plus would be that you purchase something that maybe doesn't have some of the features that you wanted. So let's say that it's got a bit of it's 2000 house and you want to replace the cabinets, maybe the furnace needs to get done and you want to add a deck, right? As opposed to the house that's sold like this. It's a little less desirable, so it's still available on the market. Then you can do a purchase plus. So tell us a little more about what that is, Jackie.
Well, okay, let's just use the same $400,000 purchase price that this is where you've been pre-approved to that amount. So you're losing out on houses. So let's say that Leanna takes you and you're looking at houses that are around $350. One of them doesn't have a garage. So of course it's priced at $350, but it's going to cost you $35,000 to put the garage in. So really what happens is that $350 plus the $35 for the garage means that house is valued at about $385 once that garage has been installed. So what happens then is that you actually go through the mortgage process as if you're buying for $385 and the $35,000 is held back by the lawyer until that garage is put in after you've owned the house. Might take 90 days. And then the money's released. There's an inspection done. Money's released. Pay your contractor. And you have a house that's your house valued at $385,000.
And so you have the contractor do the work, or in some cases, I thought that the buyer themselves had to fund it until they got the receipts to give to you.
No,
okay.
The buyer just sells his house as is. So if the buyer's selling that house for $350,000, that's how much you're paying for that house. $350,000. The buyer leaves. You own the house on September 1st. September 2nd, you get in, the contractor comes in, does the garage, takes them 90 days. Then that's when you have a house worth 385.
So for the contractor, so let's say that my buyer closes and then the contract work begins. My understanding was that the buyer had to fund. So let's say they got a line of credit for 90 days to have the garage completed. So then they use those receipts, provide it to the lending institution, whoever underwrote their mortgage. Then they get refunded.
No. Well, I shouldn't say that. It depends on the lender, and it also depends on what kind of upgrades are done. So, so in other words, if you're talking about somebody who's just getting some new carpet in, or maybe they're taking the carpet out and they're going to put some hardwood, and the cost is 20 grand, and let's just say the house is valued at 400 grand or something, the lender might accept receipt or an invoice from the contractor. But most often, an appraiser will have to go into that property to confirm that the upgrade has indeed been done, because the value isn't there until that upgrade has been completed.
The appraiser. Yeah.
Yeah. The contractor who's doing the work is that they know, because they can have a copy of the mortgage approval document, that the money is coming when their work is done.
That was kind of more of my question is expense to the buyer. So does the buyer have to fund it until the appraisal comes in?
When you say, you're saying that the final inspection is what you're asking me about.
Yeah. So in the meantime, so for my contractor to start the work, many times contractors are going to ask for a portion of the money down to pay for supplies, for example, right?
Yeah.
That needs to be paid for, but the bank hasn't refunded the money yet. So then that falls on the buyer to pay that until
the contractors, a lot of them will just ask for an upfront initial deposit, a percentage of the cost of the job, so the person can use their credit card or they can use their line of credit for that. So maybe it's only 3 grand, but also they need to use a contractor who can mostly fund the bill because they know it's coming. The buyer's not going to have 35 grand cash.
That's exactly it.
To cough it up. So the contractor has to be in a position where they can buy the materials and they can fund it, and knowing the money's coming at the end.
They've got to be a larger contractor. Okay. Yeah. So that was great. So this was what buyers can do to give themselves a real edge competing was, one, get a solid pre-approval and having their credit report pulled, obviously, with the expert. And then the next thing to consider was where they're shopping and understanding the difference of if they buy over list in a competitive market, where the extra money comes from. And then also how you can use different mortgage products that Jackie has access to and she can coach you on to still get the house that you want, but it may require something like a Purchase Plus where Jackie can give you those types of options to then shift your strategy with me, where we would look for an older home. You would then have the bank finance the improvements to make the perfect home that you're looking for.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yes, I'm doing a lot of those right now, especially in a fast market.
That's it. And that's because buyers are forced to make concessions because they still want to buy regardless of the rate, regardless of the time. I love that question because it's the right. So they're still working because they want to buy now, right? Yeah. It's a good time. So what can a buyer do right now to give themselves a stronger position? And I mean, we've already said it many different ways. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that.
I don't think so. I think we basically talked about everything we needed to talk about.
Yeah. I think so too. Amazing. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining this quick series. That you got a lot of value out of it. And what you need to do next is book your pre-approval with the Mortgage Girl, with Jackie Woodward right now, because basically you just can't find anybody better. I've worked with her for 10 years, so I still work with her because she's super reliable and she is prompt, always available. It's like everything. So what you can do is also click the link below for the Home Buyer Pack 2025, and it's going to give you so much of the insight that we provided in this series, and you get it for free. Make sure you click it as soon as you can. It's going to give you calculators, pre-approval calculators, how to look at budgeting, how to make sure you can afford. It's going to let you know, let's say, winning buying scripts like this if you're in a competing offer that are really critical for you to understand now. And then it's a home buyer checklist, so you can't lose. So click that. That's from me and Jackie as a gift. And then next, make sure that you book your pre-approval with Jackie right away. And then you come see me next. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you soon. Bye.